Okay, welcome back to solo role Mangging Shadow of the Weird Wizard. We are getting acquainted with this city that we're in, which I think is still unnamed. Irrelevant. We don't even need to know the name of the city. We've been working for this guy, Lord Thomas, who seems like a somewhat stand-up fellow. And last time we, on his behalf, investigated some problems in some of the slums of the city where people were starving and acting strangely, which sounded pretty familiar to us. And sure enough, that cult, that pact of consumption, was operating in the slums, handing out cursed food and stuff, operating out of an old granary. So we put a stop to that. Temporarily, at least. Little do we know, we did not actually put a stop to it. And they will come back at some point. Recurring villains. Always good. Yeah, so we also, I guess, killed off that healer woman that, went missing. I suppose she was down in the cavern, ready to be, converted or whatever. She was going to be force-fed or something until, something horrible. And we basically just fucked her over. Oh, well. If we were playing with corruption as a mechanic, probably would have been worth a corruption point for each of us because we knowingly... I mean, I guess we didn't know that she was down. We didn't know. I guess, yeah, we maybe assumed that she was in the granary, right? And then we collapsed the whole building on her. But we didn't see her in there, so, she probably was already dead in the ocean or something. It's fine. It's not our fault. Anyways. We're going to continue on. We're going to do another job for Sir Thomas, and then, at that point, hopefully he agrees to rent us out a property. A shop somewhere that we can work out of. So we need another job. And again, I think we're probably looking towards ChatGPT here, so I don't have to use any sort of part of my brain to be creative. And I think we were leaning towards the missing noble. But that also has its own sort of complications of... Then I have to start thinking about who this kid is. What is this other, noble party in his noble house? I guess let's have ChatGPT elaborate a little bit. Let's see what it can come up with. The young heir of House Saren, Lord Dathan Saren, has gone missing, jeopardizing an important political alliance between the City Lord and House Saren. City Lord tasks the party with discreetly investigating the matter to avoid public scandal. Clues soon lead to rival noble House Tavalis, who has kidnapped Dathan to undermine the alliance and gain leverage over the City Lord. So the objective is to find and rescue Lord Dathan Saren, exposing House Tavalis' involvement without igniting open conflict between the noble houses. Alright, so the goal then, skipping over some specifics, hand-waving some stuff, essentially the goal is to find and rescue this I mean, I don't know if he's a kid or if he's like 20 years old or something. I mean, that definitely is a difference, although fundamentally it doesn't really matter. Find and rescue the kidnapped individual without making any sort of public disturbance about this, or you know, without making the whole case known publicly. You know, and who are we to argue? We don't know anything about the politics and political. We don't know anything about all this going on. Basically, the guy's just like, look, this dude got kidnapped. We want him back. Keep it subtle. Keep it quiet. That's it. It's like, okay. All right. So his last known whereabouts was in the Noble District near an upscale tavern, the Silver Chalice. Witnesses saw him leaving the tavern late at night, escorted by an unknown group wearing Tavalis colors, if recognized via history or insight checks. Scuff marks and traces of blood outside the alley behind the tavern point to a struggle. A dropped silver ring bearing the Tavalis sigil. Subtle evidence linking them to the kidnapping. Okay, so basically, all we would get told, honestly, is that this guy's been kidnapped. Investigate it. You know, the city guards being useless. And maybe Lord Thomas suspects that this another house is involved to try and jeopardize this arrangement. Or sabotage this arrangement. He probably doesn't name another house specifically. Or maybe he does. I don't know. Maybe House Tavalis is really kind of known for being assholes. Probably. All right. So let's just take that as a framework. I mean, ChatGPT elaborated further and gave the whole outline and everything, but let's just go with that. So, right. All we would be told then, his last known whereabouts were near this tavern. He was seen leaving the tavern. So we'd have to use some investigative techniques then at that point to try. So we'd go to the tavern. Maybe we'd ask around. We'd probably talk to the bartender, see, you know, was he here this night? Was he with anybody? Was he nervous? Blah, 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 blah. And then, you know, maybe the bartender, you know, he might need to be greased a little bit one way or another. Maybe he's reluctant to get involved with any noble squabbles because he just wants to run his business, and he gets a lot of noble customers from all sorts of houses, and he just wants to, you know, be neutral. So maybe he has to be greased a little bit, or, you know, incentivized or persuaded that, hey man, somebody's life is on the line here. And that might lead him to say that there were some other individuals that were maybe watching that guy throughout the night. And maybe they left shortly after he did. But I think it's best if they weren't wearing, like, you know, house colors or anything. It's a little too incriminating. So it's just, you know, some individuals maybe followed him out. So then we'd poke around the alleyways. Finding the ring seems like fucking Deus Ex Machina, kind of just like, yes, here is your golden clue. Please take it. But you need to have some kind of clue. Something that has to point you towards this house in some way. Trying to think. Something more subtle than that. Let's ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT will know. A torn piece of fine fabric. A distinctive boot print. That seems unlikely. A broken signet cord. Small pouch of rare spices. Bloodied crest impression. Whistle with a mark. Unusual carriage tracks. Partially burnt note. No, that's a little too much. Loose button. I kind of lean towards maybe... I mean, maybe just the torn piece of fine fabric is decent enough. Or maybe the broken signet cord or something. Something where they'd have to go to like a local craftsman or something that might point them towards House Tavalis. Honestly, maybe the button. Yeah, maybe the button. That's probably pretty good. So they find a particularly nice button that looks like it was torn out. Sort of haphazardly tossed in the side of the alley. They also find this scuff marks and maybe a little bit of blood on the floor, the ground and stuff. So obviously there was a conflict here. A button got torn out and it looks somewhat, unique. It looks upscale. And it could be nothing, but maybe it's something. And so then we'd go to a local tailor and, I don't know if you want to just go to the one tailor and that's the end of it, or if you say, oh, well, I don't really operate with these kind of buttons, but I think Joe over on 7th Street, I think he uses these kind of buttons. And you go to Joe and he's like, oh, yeah, of course, this is a House Tavalis button. Did you need a replacement? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, then we have our culprits. Most likely, it was House Tavalis in some fashion. And then from there, we have to figure out, okay, where is he being held? Because they probably own tons of property. And they have their own, house manor or whatever that is where all of them live in and stuff. And their big manor. And so then we have to figure out where he's being held and, the best approach without being too public. I'm saying all this as in hypothetically, but let's just pretend our characters are along this this pathway. So I guess let's deduct some money to grease the bartender at the bar. Let's go with 3 silver. Maybe that's enough. Just to get and mentioning that, hey, this guy's life is on the line here. We're just trying to save a man's life. We could use the help. Also, I think we rested, so we're back to full and everything. As usual. So anyways, yeah, let's pretend we're doing all these things because they're good and smart. Now, I can tell you where ChatGPT says the guy is being held, and I think it's okay, but I'm hesitant to go with it because it's like, I just kind of know already, then I want to discover now as we play. So let's pretend I don't know, and I have no idea, and it could not be... They said a warehouse along the docks, so let's pretend it's not there. Or let's just say that it's not going to be there. So how would we figure out where this guy's being held? Well, I mean, it's like, okay, what exactly happened with the alley? How did that end? Presumably, I guess it ends, we can track some very faint boot prints along the cobblestones, and it looked like they went to the street, and, presumably they just kind of end as if they got into a carriage or something. So, we assume they got into a carriage. And likely this was a carriage that belongs to House Tavalis. This wasn't like a public thing or anything. We either really, I mean, that's a pretty cold lead, you know. So really, we either have to go find out properties that they own and kind of narrow it down to a location like a warehouse along the docks that would be isolated enough where they could hold a guy. You know, it's not like a shop front or something. Like, it's an isolated location. Or he's being held in their manor, you know, in their house. Which is much harder to break into. I mean, at the end of the day, I do think a warehouse along the docks is, like, the best, most appropriate choice. So, you know, I can see why ChatGPT went with it. That's exactly the type of location where this thing occurs. But it's also not super interesting, not super lengthy enough for like a whole session worth of stuff. So we're gonna have to make this much more difficult. And let's assume that we check into House Tavalis' businesses and properties that they own, and it's like entirely shops along Main Street or something, you know, like it's nothing that they seem to own would be a good choice. It's either they own a bunch of shops along Main Street, like high profile shops, very lucrative stuff, and they also own a bunch of like farmland outside of town. So unless we're gonna go ahead and think that he left town, they took him out to a farm, which is possible. And that, I guess, that potentially has its own interesting opportunities. But not especially other than trying to find out which house he's in, you know. So I think it's more interesting for us if we just go with that he's most likely kept in their mansion. Let's get a D&D map of a big mansion. And I don't want like I don't want a haunted mansion. I don't want a ruined mansion. I want a good full quality ready to rock mansion. This looks pretty good. All right, this is exactly what we want. Now, this is a big fucking house. Okay, so this is the Avorio mansion, if you're curious. So this was posted on Reddit. By Cunning Whale From. Yeah, okay. So it's actually 4 floors. This is just the ground level. So yeah, I mean, you got the big foyer here. You've got like a stage. They got a big fountain. They've got... I'm not really even sure what this is, other than, I mean, it's some sort of... Oh, maybe it's I think it's a library. Yeah, library. They got like the parlor room. The big dining hall there. That's pretty good. An office. Here is the kitchen and pantry. Bunkhouse for all the servants. You got the stables there. This is like they have their own chapel here. Damn, this is wealthy. Some other, you know, the wagon Yeah, so they've got their own carriages. 2 stables, apparently. Pen for the horses. Some other, like, separate house, I guess. A guest house, or I don't know what exactly. And then a whole big storage room, and then the other floors, so on and so forth. I mean, I can bring up all of them if we want, because it's a big-ass house, and if I was going to do a whole session centered around a mansion, this would be what I'd want. So there's the second floor. Got like a treasure room. Okay, here's the third floor. And the fourth floor. Okay. So the fourth floor doesn't really show much. I mean, it's all the rooftops and then the bell tower at the top here, and that's basically it. The third floor has all the bedrooms, sort of a big general like living area, mostly bedrooms, some storage, whatever this is exactly. And only the main building goes to the third floor. Okay. The second floor has, more bedrooms, workshops. Here's like a trophy room, the cannon and stuff. Yeah, like weapons storage and stuff. The main treasure room there with all the gold. Plenty of bedrooms. Lots of bedrooms. Yes, that other house, just has a bed upstairs and stuff. Yeah, so plenty of people live here. This is a whole big thing. Bedroom above the stables there. Actually, I don't even know if these are what is this? I mean, labels would be pretty good. I don't know. Each main bedroom is served by a personal servant. As such, the servant responsible for their master owns their own bedroom located on the third floor above their master's room. Okay. Set dressing in each main bedroom is color-coded for each specific family member. Okay. So you've got the green room, you've got red room here. You got like a pink room. I guess like an orange room. Okay. All right. So no basement, no cellar of any kind, which is where you'd usually expect these kind of things to be held. We need to pick a location here that's... I mean, there does look to be a cellar. Or there does look to be stairs that go down to in the chapel area here, but there's... Yeah, hard to say. There's also stairs here going down. Do we want to put the guy higher up? Do we want to just put... If we put him in the bell tower, it's too easy. That's too easy for us, so we can't put him there. But putting him on any of the floors here, he needs to kind of be sequestered away, because otherwise servants are going to start talking and blah, blah, blah. He's got to be in a hidey hole here that no one will notice. So I would probably lean towards this cellar right here. Whatever this leads down to. And we don't have a map for it, but it leads somewhere downstairs into a basement. And we'll put him there. Okay? That's finalized. And the servants are all told that, you know, they have like a bit of an infestation going on down there, and it's being worked on, you know, blah, blah, blah. Some sort of cover story. Prevent them from poking around. And that's something that if pressed by players, you know, trying to find out where this guy is, maybe one of them mentions as being a little odd. Because usually, you know, they wouldn't really care to even... Yeah, the servants would just work amongst an infestation, you know, business as usual. So the fact that they are preventing them from going down there is a little odd. But we'll see if it gets to that. Okay. So... we, oh boy. This is quite the heist. We're not really heisty characters. As we saw last time, we are not constructed for this sort of thing. I mean, I didn't really have any idea in my head when I made characters. It was, you know, we rolled traditions randomly, and I was just looking for utility stuff, which is kind of vague. And it's been mostly good. But if I was going to build characters specifically for heists and within a city and stuff, yeah, we would have made much different choices. Skullduggery and teleportation would have been very high up on the list. But we work with what we got. So do we want to buy a blueprint of this place? Probably. Like, if I can just get these maps, you know, basically, then that would help us quite a bit with planning. In character. So we're going to spend a gold here from our usual fellow, and he provides us the full map of their grounds, their estate. Probably not this detailed, not like where furniture is and blah blah blah. It's mostly just the layout of the various buildings, the layout of the rooms within the buildings, and staircases and stuff. And so maybe we would surmise correctly that he's being held under, you know, down in one of these cellars, either in the chapel cellar there or in this cellar here. I think that's the only two cellars. Wait a minute. This goes down, right? This also goes down. Yeah, because there's no upstairs here. So this goes down as well. That makes sense. All right, so there's a few basement areas on the estate where it's very possible he's being held. This also looks like it goes down, doesn't it? So I don't know how that's accessed. This stairs go up, that's clear. I guess maybe there's a door here? And it goes down? Oh, I think this is like secret. Yeah, I think he mentioned something about these statues. The imp statues placed around the mansion are magical doors which reveal secret entrances. They require an offering in order to be opened. The fiendish blood of a family member as well as a soul coin. Alright, well, we're not going to go that elaborate. But I do think maybe a secret door here. Would the blueprint show that secret door? Yeah. No, probably not. But I feel like you'd have to show if I was to put him down there, and that is a much better place to put him, behind a secret door. It's much better. Forget all I said. So let's put him down there. But if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna hide him entirely behind a secret door, it is kind of, and the players get blueprints of the house. I think there should be some kind of like anomaly there. Like something is off about this section. And I don't know how I would do this exactly. If I was playing, honestly, if I was just playing, if I was DMing this for a group and they're like, okay, we want to buy blueprints of the whole estate, you know, blah blah blah. I'd probably just give them these maps without comment, without anything. Just give them these maps and like, okay, go ahead. And then they can put things together. They could maybe see that this is a secret door and maybe put that together. I think that would be the easiest way. Because then it's kind of interesting for them. You know, they bought something useful with their money. It's blueprints of the house. They can see the whole layout of everything. And they might not know what everything is or what it all means or how it is when they are going to get there and get in. But it allows them to maybe plan a little better. And that's always fun. So we would see something odd here with this, the staircase going down. So maybe we suspect that there's a cellar there inside the main estate. Because otherwise, the main building does not have stairs going down as far as I can see. Unless maybe this. But that looks like it's going up. Yeah, that is definitely going up. So, yeah, the main building does not have stairs going down anywhere. And that is especially strange. So that's the cellar there. Let me think. Now, for 1 gold piece, you can buy any novice spell inscription, apparently. If you want to allow that. And so, you know, that opens up a lot of possibilities. So, like, novice geomancy spell, you could buy burrowing claws. For 1 hour, you gain the burrower, climber, and strider traits. So you could just burrow underground to try to get to the basement. That would be something. There's probably... probably something in teleportation that would be useful. Not as much as you'd think, not from novice. But okay, let's not think about that way. If I was just gonna try to get in here. Again, forced platform coming down from above is pretty good, but if we're trying to get down to the cellar, that's a long way off. We have to assume that this is all going to be patrolled quite a bit. There's going to be, you know, a couple guards always at the gates. Each of the gates. There's going to be a handful of guards patrolling the entire grounds, the entire exterior. You know, this doesn't really look like it's in the middle of a city, I'm aware, but, you know, just live with it. This is what it looks like. Then on the interior, you're going to have guards patrolling these stone paths constantly in some sort of pattern. I don't know exactly. But, you know, there are gaps here. This back door here. This is potentially viable as a way in. If we come down straight from 50 feet up, or whatever, down into this spot here. This is probably not going to be heavily patrolled that often, because getting in would be a little tricky for the average thief. You know, again, there's guards constantly patrolling the exterior here, the perimeter. I don't. The chapel is kind of an odd inclusion. I'm not really sure what to make of it. Like, why do they have a chapel? Do they have a priest, like, on site? Does he live in there? I don't know where you'd fit a guard here or anything like that. No, I mean, there's like 4 beds in this chapel, so I don't know who lives there. It's definitely a chapel, though. You have like a statue there, you got a pulpit, you got an organ. I mean, there's pews. It's a frickin' chapel. I don't know what to make of it exactly, but I don't think this square, this section right here, seems pretty vulnerable. And so from there, we're pretty close to our goal here. But the interior also going to be constantly patrolled. Security is always a concern. So we have to assume that at any given moment, at any point, there's going to be at least one guy in this library. Right? And there may be a guard and like one of the family members, one of the members of the house, or I don't know, it's a nice library, so clearly, someone is interested in books, so maybe there's a guy in there reading at late hours along with a guard standing there. Who knows? Or they're patrolling, So, assuming we land here, we have the disable alarm spell in case that it's alarmed. We pick our way in, assuming. We pick our way in. What do we do about the guard? Do we one true love him? It's the easiest, cleanest way to do things, typically. Otherwise, it's like, the usual problem of fucking guards shouting out. I wish Logic Prison shut people up. But I don't think I have any spell that shuts people up without killing them. So, yeah, it's either we kill him, slit his throat, or, something which is not really our style. Sneaking up behind a guy and slitting his throat. It's pretty risky. There's a lot of dice rolls. So one true love is definitely safer, but we only have a couple of them for the whole night. And if there's a guard and a dude in there reading, then I'm really not sure. But I can no. Fuck. Prestidigitation. Maybe. To make some sort of distraction? It's possible. Can I snuff out candles or something? You can light a candle at a distance. I assume you can snuff out a candle at a distance. So we could plunge the room into darkness. But that is quite likely to cause... I don't know. Is that enough to cause a commotion? Again, we don't really have to plunge the whole room into darkness. We just need a distraction, because based on this blueprint, we just have to get from this door to this spot here behind these bookshelves. And then we can access this secret door. Getting out after all this, that's going to be a whole other issue. But I don't know what my other options are. Again, we're not entirely built for this. And I know plenty of people, I've played with plenty of people that are just like fly by the seat of their pants, you know, and just like, yeah, we'll see, we'll just go. Let's just go. We'll see what happens. You know, people that aren't interested in planning out everything and they just want to get to the action and roll dice and just see how things go. Obviously, I'm not that way. But at a certain point, you do kind of have to just go and see how the dice go. I can't plan for everything just because I can only get in there basically once, you know. Or I can't go in there, scout it out, and then come back later. Because the situation will probably be different, you know, who knows? Let's assume that there's not going to be a guy in there late at night reading a book. Because we're going to go in late at night, you know, or this is going to be like 3 or 4 a.m. So it's pretty unlikely for someone to be in there reading a book at that time. Let's just assume it's one guard. If we assume that it's one guard and they constantly patrol and they have like a perfect patrol where one of them's going out and one of them's coming in at the same moment, so there's always one guy in there, then our best bet is one True Love. And we're just going to have to rely on that, and that'll be fine. We one True Love him. Maybe ask him what he knows, but mostly we just want him to keep going as normal. You know, keep up the patrol exactly as normal while we continue on. Because if anything's amiss, then stuff starts happening. There might be invisibility stuff that we could look into. I don't know where that would be under. I really should read all these spells. I might make that a priority after this. Because if I knew all spells, this would be much easier. I could just tell you straight out the gate where the novice level invisibility spell is located. I don't know if there's a novice level invisibility spell. It seems a little extreme. It's not under Skullduggery, I can tell you that. I just checked. Maybe there's something in Illusion. I mean, no, there isn't, but there's some interesting stuff. I don't know. Okay, let's just move on. So we one True Love the guy. We get to the secret door. Let's assume we can crack open the secret door and it's not like insane. Because worse comes to worse, I don't really want to have to use Word of Breaking to smash open the secret door or the wall. Because that's pretty noisy. I mean, I can theoretically use 3 force barriers against the wall to create like a cubicle. And no sound or air would be able to get out of that barrier. And then we could just maybe safely break down the wall without being heard. But we wouldn't be able to breathe while I'm doing that. So it's not great. Let's assume that we can somehow crack the code and get in. Now, if I were to DM this, and I hate that I'm even bringing this up, because I'm fucking myself over more, but I would probably make the secret door require some sort of magical token owned by all the family members, or all the, the important family members, the ones that matter, not the riffraff that just drink all day or whatever. So, not going quite as far as the creator of the map went, where you need the blood of a family member, but yeah, maybe a token that they all have on them. In which case, this gets a lot more complicated. It would be easy enough to kind of find and cast One True Love on one of the lower, the less important family members. Because clearly, I mean, these people, they go out and drink, so there's got to be some of these jerk-off cousin members of the family that go out to the bars at night and come stumbling back home. But they're not going to be having these cool tokens. But you could do that and then have him go in to like one of the other family members' bedrooms and like snatch the token. But that would imply that we knew about this ahead of time. And I don't know, unless the guy that sold us the blueprint is like, hey, I heard a rumor that there's, some secret walls in the house, but the important family members have this like token on them to open them. You could do that. It seems a little, again, Deus Ex Machina, that this guy just happens to know about this and blah, blah, blah. But I do think that would make the heist a little bit more interesting. I don't know if I was running this for my family, I don't know if I would introduce that element, because this would already be far over their heads as it is, of like trying to pull this off without making a huge spectacle of it. So I don't know if I would introduce that element, actually. So let's drop it. At a certain point, I gotta rein myself in. I can't just keep making things more and more difficult for myself. So let's just assume the secret door is kind of, cliche, old-fashioned. There's like a loose brick or something. Or they're in a library, so maybe it's just a book nearby on the shelf that you have to pull on. Everybody loves that. And that'll open up the door. We go down into the cellar, and it's gonna be guarded, right? He's gonna have guards on him. Not many. I wouldn't expect more than 2, really. But he is very important. He's a VIP to the house and their operations. They don't want him killed, right? That's just bad for business. Because if he ends up dead and it, it comes out that this house was responsible, then they're in a pretty big heap of trouble. It's kind of the old standby of things of like, the noble houses, the king tolerates all their little tomfoolery amongst each other, vying for power and control and all that, but like just murdering one another like that, like that's a bridge too far. So they don't want him dead, definitely not. They just want to hold him here while the deal falls through, and then he'll be released and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, he's been blindfolded the whole time. The guys that jumped him weren't wearing any colors. He has no idea which house that he's in. You know, he has no idea who's kidnapped him. He's been taken down to a cellar, and the guards have been, you know, very strictly informed not to give anything away, and really just don't talk to him. They're in like a separate room than him. Just don't talk to him, give him his food, and that's it. But stay down there for a few days until this all is over. So honestly, all we have to do is just bust a couple heads, which should be pretty simple. I'm not really conceiving of any logical issue that would arise there, unless they've hired, like, maybe they hired like a fellow adventurer or something to specifically to guard this guy, and he's like a level 4 fighter or something. It might be fun. It might be fun to just stat out a level 4 fighter, build a new character specifically to be down there guarding this guy, and then we have to take on and just do like technically PvP to see if I can take out a level 4 fighter that I spec specifically to be a murder machine. Sure, let's go that route. I find that pretty fun. Okay, and then getting out, well, we kill whoever is down there, we grab the guy, we tell him the situation, we tell him, you know, we're gonna get him out, he's got to stay quiet and just follow us, do what we say, blah, blah, blah. We go back up the stairs, open the secret door again, and then we basically are waiting for the guy that we used One True Love on, because he's continuing to patrol. So eventually he'll be the guard back in the library. And I don't know, would he find us with this dude objectionable, or maybe he doesn't even know about it? It's probably very much a need to know. So I don't think the average guard in the place or the average servant knows anything about this. So I think if he saw this guy, I'd just be like, oh, who's that? Blah, blah, blah. Say, oh, yeah, it's a friend of mine. I'll be back. You stay here, my love. Blah, blah, blah. And we pop out the door again, hop on the force platform, and fly him out of there. Like badasses. Bada bing, bada boom. This will all be very simple. Nothing will ever go wrong with this, and all the dice will be in our favor. Okay. So, right. Let's just do it. Step 1, go outside the city as usual, cast force platform. Lasts for 8 hours. Fly into the city, you know, 50 feet up or whatever, above House Tavalis. Locate this pocket here. You know, from up there we can see we're wearing our masks again, of course, and dark clothing, but from up here we can see where the guards are patrolling, where the guards are standing. Again, I don't think there's going to be a guard here, but I should do a roll just because that's part of solo RPGs, is sometimes embracing the unexpected. So we'll do a roll. I guess we could do the old determinative roll. Because if you just, well, yeah, I mean, either way, I guess. What would we put? A 25% chance? So a d20, if I roll 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, there will be a guard there. Okay, there isn't. I don't know exactly where the nearest one is, but needless to say, I think we're pretty clear here. This little pocket in the back. So we're going to descend down, land the force platform right in that nice little pocket. And then we are going to creep over to this door. I'm going to use Mage Implement. It says once per rest. It's a number of times equal to my level. So it's 4 per rest. I can do various things, including perceiving the presence of magic within 5 yards. So we're going to use that on the door to see if we detect magic. I could go either way here. I think 50-50. Maybe 55% there's magic. So 10 or higher, there's magic. Okay, there's magic on the door. We're going to use the Scroll of Disable Alarm. I'm pretty sure that that's going to be what it is. Again, we'll roll to see if it's something else, but I think it's very likely so. Unless I roll a 1 or a 2. Okay, it's definitely an alarm spell, so that used up disables it. Now Truco is going to lockpick, so it's +4 with a boon from Trickery. Actually, yeah, it should be a lot harder than that, shouldn't it? This is a very wealthy mansion, and this is one of the main doors into the main building. This should have a Bane on it. So honestly, I think that nullified his boon. So I think he fails. What is the penalty for failure of lockpicking? You know, it's always up for debate about, you know, what exactly it means to fail the lockpick. Usually jamming the lock is kind of severe. That's something you typically reserve for a crit fail. So I would lean more towards you just spend like a minute or something and you can't get it, you know. It is the old adage of if there's no penalty for failure, there shouldn't be a roll. And I do agree with that. And I don't know if there's a penalty for our first failure here. So according to the rules, it's quite harsh. Depending on the lock, it takes 1d6 minutes for an inferior, 2d6 for a typical, 4d6 for a superior, or longer. And then make an agility roll with 1 or more Banes, depending on the lock's complexity. On a success, you open it. On a failure, it remains locked, and attempts to try again result in automatic failures until after you rest. I mean, what sense does that make logically? So I kind of agree with everything until that last part. And I do think this is probably a pretty good lock. So I think it probably takes a while. Let's do 4d6. So 13 minutes. That seems like an eternity. What professional rogue would possibly spend... I mean, does the lockpicking lawyer have a single video that long? That seems like an eternity. Just to try to open a lock. As usual, just for comparison. I just want to see how 5th edition does it. Standard lock is a DC 15. And apparently if you spend 10 times the amount of time as usual trying to pick the lock, you automatically succeed with no roll. I guess. There doesn't seem to be any, implicit penalty for failure. It just says if you're proficient with Thieves' Tool, you can pick a lock with a successful DC 15 dexterity check. There might be better locks available. So there's like no penalty for failure. So Weird Wizard is quite severe. I don't think I'd go with that. I also don't think I'd make it take 4d6 minutes. But doesn't say how long it takes. And I think probably plenty of games don't really go into how long it takes. Yeah, I don't like old school doesn't really go into it, I guess, much. It's weird. Yeah, I mean, it's usually something that's just not thought about too much, I guess. It's just like, you got a thief, he can probably pick a lock. He does a roll to pick a lock. He does or he doesn't. The last thing I want to check, we're gonna move on from this discussion. But I just am curious to see how Shadow the Demon Lord does it. If it mentions it at all. Doesn't sound like it. Does not sound like it at all. Yeah, all right. Let me just cleanse my mind of other systems for a moment and just think about how I would, if I was making, pretend that lockpicking is not mentioned once in this rulebook, and my players walked up to a lock and wanted to pick it. How would I just adjudicate? How would I decide that they do it? Obviously, I do think Banes are gonna be in place because DC is 10, so it's only the shittiest of like the $10 padlocks that you buy or something like that. That's gonna be a roll with no Banes. Anything above that, anything actually designed for security, is gonna have Banes on it. So of course this thing's gonna have Banes. And then as for time, I don't think, I mean, yeah, I mean, it really depends on the complexity of locks. So I guess I do agree with that in concept. There are definitely plenty of locks that just take like a handful of seconds. At the same time, it's like, how much does it really matter? Again, going back, if there's no penalty for failure, there shouldn't be a roll. In this case, I do think there is a penalty for failure, but it's mostly contingent on the amount of time it takes. Because I think eventually someone looks over in this direction, right? There has to be. It can't be that. I mean, it is pretty secluded. But maybe it's more of a sound issue. We are picking a lock on this door. Someone could hear it. And so I think that's probably the more appropriate penalty for a failure. It's not even necessarily time, but just the noise that it makes of someone inside, because there is a patrolling guard. We're very clear on establishing that. So I think for failure, we probably want to make a luck roll. in that case. Just straight up luck roll, just to see if someone was just happened to be within earshot while we tried to pick this lock quickly. So just straight up luck roll here. 11. Okay. So fortunately we failed, but nobody hurt. I do think some time passed there, but I don't know again if it really matters. I think there are times where it would matter. I don't know. I don't know if this is one of them necessarily. Maybe. I don't know. Let's try again though, because until you rest or something, that's just nonsense. I can't imagine anyone would not argue against that sort of bullshit. That's a very lame way to penalize a failure of a lockpick. So another roll here. Again, I think we're going with 2 Banes. So with Trickery, it's 1 Bane, which is still pretty annoying. Technically, there is the help action, but I don't think that applies. I mean, it's insanely vague. I'm probably not gonna find a discussion about that for Weird Wizard, so I was just looking to see. Action, help. Yeah, there is a help. Okay. All right. Well, anyways, so there's an action you can take, although it specifically says this is under the section for actions in combat. So it's very possible this is not meant to be something you can do out of combat. But I think that's a little ridiculous because that implies that you can't cast a spell out of combat or run out of combat or steal out of combat. So I don't know why it's all listed under actions in combat. But one of the actions is help. Choose one creature within 5 yards of you. The target has 1 boon on its next attribute roll before the start of your next turn. Now, what's weird about that, I guess, is that... Well, I don't know, because there's the priest, right? And they get prayer. That's a reaction when a creature within 5 yards of you makes an attribute roll to give them a boon on the roll. So I guess it's a reaction instead of an action, and that is significant. I don't know logically how balance could help him lockpick this. Doesn't really make any sense, but there is... I don't remember. There's some other game where you had to kind of justify. Maybe that was I think that was Pathfinder 2nd edition, right? Where we had to like justify how we're assisting someone. It doesn't mention anything like that here. I guess D&D 5th edition also has a help action. Out of combat help action. Okay, well, we can, as usual, just go to D&D 5th edition where there's way more discussion. Do you allow any player to help with any ability check? I'll make players explain how they're helping. Blah, blah, blah. Yes. If someone wants to help, they have to have a minimum of proficiency in the skill they're helping with. Begin and end with the fiction. player says my character helps, then ask, cool, what does that look like? Yeah, I agree with all that. In combat, it's like, fine, you know, you want to spend your fucking action doing that, go ahead, I don't care. But out of combat, it's a much more powerful ability. And yeah, I do think you need to justify it in some way. And I would not be able to think of a way that balance could help this. So it is what it is. So you're just going to roll d20 plus 4 minus, well, with a Bane, which is pretty shitty, but there's nothing I can do. You rolled a 6, so it's definitely a failure again. Now we're going to do the luck roll again. He succeeded again, but now it's like, come on, dude. Can you get in or not? He doesn't have a lot of experience with lockpicking. And worst comes to worst, Balance might use the word of breaking on the doorknob. But I don't know if that really helps that much. And I don't think she can specifically target the lock, unless it's... I don't know, are D&D locks always like... Maybe they're always just like padlocks. So I guess maybe that would help, but it seems a little weird to just have padlocks everywhere for every type of lock. No. Anyways, I don't know, I feel like I'm getting off too easy with these failures, right? Like, something should be happening as I sit here in the darkness and stumble with a lock. Maybe the luck roll should start adding a Bane. I think if we fail again, I gotta add a Bane to the luck roll. There has to be an increasing chance that this is heard. So, alright, another attempt. Okay, this is possible. We just need, not a 5 or a 6 on the Bane. Perfect. So we got a 13. Click. It's unlocked. Now, do we imagine this door has a window in it that we can look through? Let's assume no. Even though it is a pretty rich place, let's assume no. This is just the back door of the house. It's just a wooden door. So now it gets a little trickier. I think Balance is going to be the one to open it. Because, you know, she might need to pop off One True Love very quickly. Oh yeah, I can lose 2 health after casting One True Love to regain it. So, theoretically, we have quite a few castings of it. But I wonder if you'd say that witnessing me cast One True Love on someone else is objectionable to you. Maybe it is. I don't know. It's very vague. Let's hope that doesn't matter. Okay, so Balance is going to slowly creak open the door to see what she sees. Now, I think, like I said, it's pretty unlikely for there to be a guy in here, one of the family members or something, reading. All the servants are almost certainly in bed. 3 a.m. So, let's just say 1 or a 2, there's a guy in here reading, you know, some weird member of the family that stays up all night and sleeps during the day, and he reads books and shit. Okay, that is not the case. So, no guy, but guard. Does the guard see the door slowly open? I think that's a luck roll again. So we're going to just make a straight up luck roll. He does. He slowly sees the door creak open. And so Balance, she's slowly opening and she just hears, what the? So in that case, she's going to swing the door open quickly, catch sight of the guy, and use One True Love. and certain outcome. Okay. So then, as soon as she does, and she glances around, sees that nobody else is in this library, you know, Truco's gonna run in behind her. They close the door, and she's just gonna be like, you know, my love, keep going about your business. We're very busy, but I'll be with you soon. Okay. And so we're gonna rush over here. Depending on how well lit this place is, I might use prestidigitation. Witchcraft. I might use witchcraft to douse some of the candles. Like, in this area, at least. If these lights are all on as depicted. What's funny is I brought up the daylight map. He actually has a nighttime map. I don't know why I didn't grab that. But yeah, like these candles and these candles, I might just snuff out specifically. Because that might just buy us a moment or two. But the other guy's probably going to be like, oh, those candles went out. I don't know if he would... I don't think he'd assume like, oh, there's someone that's been here. They're evil. We must kill them. He'd just be like, oh, for some reason those candles went out. It's a draft or something. So yeah, I'm just going to use witchcraft to just pop those all out. I don't think he'd find that objectionable, but who knows with this spell. It's very vague. And we go over to the secret door. And now we roll intellect to try and see if we can crack open the secret door. I'm not going to use certain outcome. We still might need it for something else. So this is just straight up +6 on my intellect. Oh yeah, we definitely got it. Even if I threw 2 Banes in there, I could throw... Fuck it, throw 8 Banes in there. It don't matter. I succeed. And so we slip in and close the secret door behind us and start descending the staircase into probably a pretty dimly lit location down there, the cellar. We don't have a map, but I'm picturing just like a couple rooms, you know. And there's like a table down there. Maybe there's even a bed or 2 down there. Okay, and I was going to say that the guy is sleeping, but I think that we made a crucial mistake, of course. We used the disable alarm and we checked for magic on this door into the building. We did not check for the secret door whatsoever. So I think when we opened that secret door like that, just like as if everything was normal, I think we triggered a silent alarm spell. So yes, I did fail to prepare for every thought ahead of time. And then I remember, I think of it now when it fucks me over. But I was just thinking about the guy down, because we're going to put a level 4 fighter down here, right? And I was just thinking, like, he's probably asleep. So we can just, like, bypass him or, you know, just cast One True Love on him as well with certain outcome, and then it's just, the whole thing's nullified. So I was like, that's kind of lame. We want to fight him, so why would he get up? And then I thought, well, an alarm spell. So I think, yeah, when we did that, we triggered a silent alarm spell, and I feel like it's probably linked to this guy, the fighter down here, and maybe the matriarch of the family. like that's sleeping upstairs somewhere. So I feel like we're on a pretty tight timetable now, even though we don't know it. And that's going to cause problems. Definitely going to cause problems. I know I'm fucking myself over hard here, but it makes the most sense. So the guy, you know, when we get down there, we went down pretty quick. He doesn't have a great deal of time, but when he snapped awake from the alarm spell, so he quickly just like slaps on his armor and grabs his weapon as we descend the stairs. And so he's just ready to like block the door, and that's where he's at. He does not have time to like ambush us or anything. Again, we still could just cast One True Love and Certain Outcome and nullify the encounter, but I do want to actually do the fight. So yes, hold on. Let me bring up a blank character sheet so that we can make this guy. Actually, maybe I could grab... I should have a fighter somewhere, right, that we played with. I think was Garvis a fighter? No, he was a rogue. What was my fighter's name? Sir Martin. Yes, okay. Good, Sir Martin. This'll work. So, we had leveled him up to 2. This was back during the, when we were doing the modules. Okay, so with Sir Martin here, we're now going to level him up to 3 and then 4. He's a pretty standard fighter, you know, at level 2. There's not a whole lot of options. I think he took Shield Bash. And he has Plate Armor. So he's got an 18 defense right now. And he's got his long sword. And he can Shield Bash. So he can actually swing for 4d6 per turn without losing his defense. So yeah, I mean, this is what we're talking about. This is pretty good. So we want a level 3 expert path now that's inclined towards him being sort of a sword and board fighter. So I'm thinking maybe veteran is pretty solid. Yeah, probably veteran. It's kind of strange. There isn't any expert path that's just like built for sword and board. Of just like the classic tank warrior, you know? It's very interesting. I do think expert paths could be fleshed out a bit more. Yeah. But all right, we're going to go with veteran. Sir Martin is a veteran, even though technically he died to a crocodile, a giant crocodile in the Beakman Tower. So level 3 for him as a veteran. He's going to increase attributes. So 14, and we'll go with, I'll give him a higher will. He increases his armored and natural defense by +1, so he's actually at 19 defense. 12 more health, so he's at 34. Remove all that damage. And his bonus damage goes up by 1. And he gets blooded in battle. Blooded in battle. Roll to attack with 1 boon. And increase the reach of your melee weapons by 1. And that's it for that. Then up to 4. He's going to increase his health again by 12. Another bonus damage, so he's at 3d6. And he gets near miss. Once per round, when you fail a roll to attack, make a luck roll. On a success, deal half damage. Pretty nice. Okay, that's it. That's very easy to level up a fighter to 4 like that. Not a lot of choices if all you want to do is sword and board and hit stuff hard. So now he's swinging his longsword with 2 boons. He can attack from 2 squares away instead of 1. He's dealing with his shield bash as well. 1, 2, 3, 66. If he misses, he can make a luck roll for half damage. And he has 19 defense. He's still going to get utterly destroyed, no matter which way we cut this. Even if I don't nullify the encounter entirely. He's one fighter. It's just, there's too many things I can do. Because, Truco can just avoid a hit practically every round. So there's that. And I don't know if you'd give him the luck roll for half damage in that case. Oh, wait a minute. Why have I been running this? Why did I write this incomplete? It's not an automatic success to failure. You have to make a luck roll. Yeah, okay. I don't know why I missed that very crucial thing. So it's not a guaranteed, which makes sense. Otherwise, it'd be way too powerful. But it's still very good. But yeah, I mean, Truco is swinging his longsword now for 66 as well. So their damage is equal, assuming he doesn't get the buff off. He also imposes a bane on attacks, which Sir Martin does not. But Sir Martin's very high defense means that Truco's not going to hit him too often, but Truco's not alone, is he? And balance just, well, upsets the balance, because I mean, really, just all she has to do is just kind of spam fucking Witchfire. Sir Martin's agility is not that great. And with a boon on the roll, I mean, all I have to roll is 5 or higher. More like 2 or higher. 3 or higher. Yeah, so it's probably going to be a pretty quick fight and not really too complicated. Which is good because time is very much of the essence now, even though we don't know it. Maybe balance would be like, wow, this guy was just ready and waiting for us with his weapon and armor. Maybe an alarm has been triggered. But I don't know how many players would think of that. So we come down the stairs, we see him combat initiated. Now, technically, we're treating Sir Martin as an enemy, so he does not get, he does not really get, he can't take the initiative. He still has his reactions. He can do pretty much anything a reaction allows him to, but he can't take the initiative. So that means that, obviously, Sir Balance is going to take the initiative. Vile Tentacles is a little overkill for a single target, and especially because we don't really... I don't know if we'd assume that this guy is like an insane badass. But he is wearing full plate, so there is an element of badassery there. Witchfire does 4d6 and catches fire on a crit. All-consuming fires of hell does 3d6, but guarantees that they catch fire and makes it pretty tricky for them to get out of that. So, at least first out the gate, all-consuming fires of hell is better. So this is intellect plus a boon versus his agility. Okay. So that's 18 plus 1, 19. Not a crit, sadly. But he takes 3d6 damage, 12. And he's on fire. Luck ends with a bane. Will Truco... no, Truco will not take the initiative. So Sir Martin is going to, roar and charge forward. He can attack from a square away, so he may as well. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have really much fancy shit here. It's just rolling. So he's rolling with 1 boon because of Truco's canny combatant. So +4 with 1 boon. I think that's a hit. That is definitely a hit. That's 19, and a boon will turn it into a crit. So he crits. This will be quite a bit of damage, no matter what. So Truco will use Sidestep Strike. So he gets a luck roll. Roll the 15. So it turns it into a miss. And then Sir Martin will use Near Miss to make a luck roll. It's a success, so he deals half of his damage. And half of his damage with the crit and the shield, blah, blah, blah. That's 66, 76. And he rolls damage twice and takes the higher. So we're going to roll 70. I wish I could fucking... He got 6 and 8, no 7. It's annoying. Guess we'll do here 7. So you got 24, 26. So 26 is his total. Cut that in half. That is 13, which is a hefty blow. Probably not enough, though. Now it's Truco's turn. So he'll be using trickery and swinging. It's a lot of numbers to add up. I don't think this guy imposes a bane, so this is 2 boons. We'll just roll. We'll just do the roll first. Okay, so that's it's definitely a miss, right? 2 boons. I mean, that's an 11. No, he cannot hit. So, okay, miss. End of the round. Luck roll to get Sidestep Strike back. Yep, he's got Sidestep Strike. He takes 1d6 damage. 6. Ouch. So he's at 18 from fire, and he rolls a luck roll with 1 bane. He fails, so he's still on fire. That's gotta hurt. New round. Balance is gonna go again. She's going to use Witchfire. So that's 8. Plus a boon of 1. That's 9 versus Agility, which is a miss. Truco not taking the initiative. Sir Martin swings again. That's going to be a hit for sure. He's still got a boon on there as well. So it's definitely a hit. Sidestep Strike. Luck roll. Success. So it's another half damage. Because that near miss is pretty sure once per round. Yeah, once per round. It's pretty good. But he has to do the luck roll to see if he gets the near miss. He does. So this is again... I don't think he crit, right? He rolled like a 12. I don't think he crit. But he might crit with a boon. 12 plus 4 is 17. Yeah, I think that is a crit again. So 76 again. Roll twice. Oh my god, 36. Holy shit, that was a god roll. That's a 4, 5, 6, 6, 5, 6, 4. Incredible. 36 damage. Thankfully, that's cut in half to 18, but still. Ow. 31. Truco's not feeling too good. He may have to use Swift Recovery here as an action. Yeah, I think we will. So Truco's turn, he's just going to use Swift Recovery, which is delaying this fight even further. And he heals 15 off of that, so he's at 16. New round. Well, no. Does he get Sidestep Strike back? He does. Damage from fire, another 6. That's rough for him. At 24. So he is injured now, for whatever good that does. And does he shrug off the fire? 13 minus 4, he does not. Still on fire. New round. Again, I don't really have anything great for single target here, other than Witchfire. Nothing's going to beat 46 damage. So yeah, Witchfire. So that's an 11 with a boon, so it's definitely a hit and not a crit for 46 damage. 19, that's more what we're talking about. So that puts him pretty fucking low. 16, 43 he's at. He's got 3 health left. Truco didn't take the initiative. I wasn't declaring that I was. So now this guy has to decide what he's doing here. You know, I always do it. This is my own problem. This is my own fault. I should know better. But I always do it either depending on a morale check or something, they either stand and fight to the death or they run for their lives. There is a third option, though, that I don't know if I've ever incorporated, and that's to surrender. They can just drop their weapons and be like, please, like, take what you want. Like, I almost never do it, because usually things just... Because it's like animals don't surrender. It's only sapient, you know, intelligent creatures. But in this case, we're blocking the doorway, pretty much. We're blocking the stairs going up. We've got him dead to rights. He's on fucking fire. I'll give him a will roll, but I think with the fire and everything, near death, I'm gonna give him a Bane on this roll. So, oh, he rolled an 18. No, he is standing and fighting, I guess. So he's gonna swing towards Truco again, and he rolls a 20. He definitely crits again. 3 crits in a row. God damn, Sir Martin! You're gonna drop Truco, and then this gets really complicated. Alright, do we get Sidestep Strike? We do not. This is full damage crit. 76 straight up, 21 damage. That was a very low crit thing. Oh wait, he gets to roll twice. 29. That'll do it. That'll do it. It would have been okay with the 21, but 29... Yeah, it's irrelevant. It's at 42. He's at 42, so he's down. Truco doesn't get a turn. End of the round. Sir Martin takes 1d6 damage from fire. 4 damage. He's also down. And I think we can pretty much say that he's dead. Because his body will just continue smoldering on fire. So I think he's dead. Truco loses 1d6 health. 6, of course. And then he rolls his luck roll. 11. Alright, he's back up. So we're at 35 health. 35 damage. And I think at this point, Balance would, like, start to hear footsteps. You know, like heavy footsteps from upstairs. It's like, okay, if we're doing this, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go. Truco's like he's holding his organs in, you know. It doesn't matter, we don't have time. Put your organs back in when we're out of here. I think we can close the case on Sir Martin. Thank you for your valiant efforts. So she's going to tell Truco to get in there, get the guy, assuming he's in there. This is all based on the big assumption that he's down here. It's an educated guess, but they could be wrong. But the fact that I put this big fucking level 4 fighter there is like, okay, I can't screw him out of that now. So yeah, he's definitely down here. And she's going to hold off anybody that comes in. Or, you know, so she's going to go upstairs real quick. And she's going to put up force barriers. So specifically, she's going to run upstairs. And assuming no one has gotten past, like, this line. Yeah, none of the guards or anything yet. She's going to put up a force barrier right there. She's going to put up another force barrier, like, directly behind it. And then another force barrier directly behind that one. So just a series of invisible walls. Do we think anybody's gotten there? I think it's a slim chance. So if I roll a 4 or less. Okay, we're fine. So they didn't... Maybe they're, like, in the way. Maybe they're bursting through the door as she finishes up, but it's there. Truco does find the guy in the other room. He's probably being kept... Like, he's probably in good shape, or, you know, he's probably being treated fairly well, all things considered. But maybe not. Maybe they're really big assholes and they're just like, we're pissing on him and stuff, and they, you know, they can do whatever they want as long as they don't kill him. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. We're getting him out of there. Truco's like, we're getting you out of here. We're here to rescue you. Come with us if you want to live. Okay. Then, you know, he races him upstairs, and pretty much we're good to go. I think in the moment, while she was waiting after she finished casting the 3 force barriers, I think we would use spell recovery, because she might need more force barriers. So we're just going to get that back. And then it pretty much we're good. I mean, the only other thing is guards could come from this other side if they hear shouts of alarm. So I think if Balance does see this door open at all, she'll put up another force barrier on that side. But then by the time that they figure out that there's glass walls or invisible walls here, we're already kind of out the door. And our platform is right here. So I don't really imagine there would be anything else that would be... The guy, if there was a guy coming in through here and he's smart enough, maybe he realizes that he could go around, and because he sees us, you know, he sees us run out the door here. So maybe there's that. If Balance does see that guy circle around to try and come out, she'll put up another force barrier. You know, force barriers for decades. It's an amazing spell. I love it. But then it's pretty much just hopping on the platform and flying up. We're probably going to get shot at. Mostly we care about protecting the platform, so I think we'd put another force barrier in that case, like, underneath the platform. Like, just kind of, you know, like a shield in, like, a hero shooter. Just kind of angle it so it protects the platform from arrows coming in. And then we're out of there. Yeah. I don't know. Are we happy with all that? Are we happy with all that went and all that, how that was decided? You know. It was maybe a little too easy. But, I mean, Truco, if Truco started failing luck rolls, like, he made his first luck roll to get right back up, okay? If there was that one time, though, if you recall, where we failed like 5 in a row, or 6 in a row, or something like that. It was an obscene number of failures, and he kept on losing health. If he kept on going down, I mean, I would have had the guards, like, block us in. And then that gets infinitely more complicated. So, yeah, I kind of succeeded by the skin of my pants there, because he happened... It was really unfortunate that he went down in the first place due to 3 crits from Sir Martin. But then thankfully, he succeeded on his first luck roll to get back up. So it was pretty fly by the seat of my pants, and I think it was pretty close. I know we keep succeeding and we never really fail, but it was pretty close, I think. But I do like the idea of occasionally including, like, another player character. Like an NPC that's, like, built like an adventurer like that. I think that is occasionally like, oh, fuck, you know. Like I said, he was almost really never going to win. But, you know... Definitely he would have soloed Truco, like 100% of the time. Truco was not winning that battle, because Truco is not really designed for fighting a high defense, you know, tanky motherfucker that can also dish out obscene damage if he just crits nonstop. So if Balance hadn't been there to help, that would have been GG for Truco. He probably would have ran, but yeah. Right. So then we go back to Lord Thomas. I mean, we don't even know who this guy belongs to or something, so we just drop him off with Lord Thomas and he can figure it out. And then I think he pays us again. Let's bump it up to 20 gold this time. 69 gold pieces. Hell yeah. And I think that he says that he's, you know, we've done a lot of good work for him. He's very pleased to call us his friends now. And he's more than happy to help us set up a legitimate business within the city. And I think that will be the focal point of our next session, is all the logistics of setting up a business, a shop within the city. With two very different characters that both want very different things out of that shop. So I'll probably spend some time poking around at other supplements and other books to try and find, like, the best sort of resource that for setting up a business in a tabletop RPG. You know, usually it's just a lot of stuff that you want to just hand wave and abstract and just come up with maybe a number for profit that they earn once in a while. But I do think that it is ripe for player creativity, and I think it's ripe for various role-playing opportunities and quests, of course. It's something that I'm always very attracted to for some reason, is just starting up a shop or a guild or some type of establishment within an RPG. It's just so different and just so interesting to me for some reason. Anyways, good stuff. I really like this map. Really good stuff. Again, this was the Avorio Mansion by Cunning Whale From. If you just search D&D map mansion, it's like the first result. Really good stuff. Oh, there actually was... Oh, there was a map. I didn't even notice. There was a map for the basements. Okay, there's a map for everything. Very well done. Apparently there was a ritual room of the 9 hells down there and stuff. Okay, had I actually used the basement maps, it would have been much more involved. But I didn't want a ritual room of the 9 hells down there. Or did I? It's done now, so it doesn't matter. Alright, my name is Mang. This has been Solo Roll Manging, Shadow the Weird Wizard. I'll see you fine folks in the next part.